Israel has recently begun dropping leaflets in some of the towns in Gaza, in southern Gaza, warning people to flee there. And when last week we talked about the humanitarian pauses to open up roadways so that people in the north could flee to the south, we asked, I think a fairly obvious question is, well, so what happens when the war goes to the south? And I have a question I would like to ask now. It's the same one. What's going to happen? Now, there are two options that they've alluded to. And by the way, very clear that this is going to encapsulate all of Gaza. So the defense minister of Israel said the ground operation is going to include both the north and the south. We will strike Hamas wherever it is, which it means in reality, we will strike Gaza wherever we want. And yeah, maybe Hamas will be hurt by it. And maybe you'll have civilian losses in the south like you have in the north. Netanyahu said there is no place in Gaza that we will not reach. There is no hiding, no shelter, no refuge for the murderers of Hamas or the civilians, because they have even less ability to protect themselves. But the two solutions are tent camps and sending mass quantities of Gazans to live in Egypt. Those are the two plans. Neither of those is acceptable. Neither of those should be legal. But the proposed humanitarian area where they would set up these tent camps, Mawasi, is relatively small, underdeveloped, cannot support hundreds of thousands of people right now, let alone during the winter. And of course, as has been talked about a lot throughout this week, reminding a lot of people of the Nakba. You should do your research. By the way, everyone should check out John Oliver's episode this last week on the leadership of Hamas and Israel. It gives a lot of great history, including in this. These camps are going to, first of all, there's no reason that we believe that the camps themselves won't be targeted. Refugee camps in the north already have been. So is that really shelter? It remains to be seen. How many people will die because of the lack of infrastructure, the lack of medicine, the lack of electricity once the winter sets in? And Egypt has already said that they do not want masses of refugees being moved into their territory. And to push for that as a strategy, we would not find that to be acceptable in any other international relations scenario where you say that population, if you want to be safe, guess you got to go live in another country for some period of time. We'll see about maybe letting you back in at some point. These are not acceptable solutions, and I really hope that diplomacy is being pursued to stop this. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is not diplomacy, right? I mean, this is lazy diplomacy at best, and it's anti-human. Really, it is. This idea that we're telling people go to the south when there's no infrastructure already because it's been destroyed by massive bombs, right? Massive bombing, massive military operations, and then when you get there, we're just gonna bomb there too. So wherever you go, we're just gonna keep moving you around, putting you in spaces where we can bomb you more. And I don't think I'm confused, and I really think that's a powerful question that you propose. What is too far, right? Because Benjamin Netanyahu said there's nowhere that these people can hide, but it seems that it is a place because you've not been reporting mass killing of Hamas troops. Hamas soldiers aren't the ones that are being murdered. It's regular civilians. These are your neighbors. Think about them as your neighbors. Look out your window right now, everybody watching this show. Look out your window and look at the house to the left and the right and imagine 10% of your neighborhood or entire neighborhood just gone. And you've been told to go south or wherever you are just to be bombed and then go back north to have it happen again. And now we need you to go to the next state over if it was a different country. It makes no sense. This is beyond ridiculous, but it's also the reality that these Gazans are living in. And I'm extremely saddened that we are proposing this as what democracy or diplomacy can present as an option. Yeah. Netanyahu needs to be stopped. His government needs to be stopped. And then people, and this is not even a quiet chant. It's not just here in America, around this country. I was on the train in France this past weekend and people were lining up at 8 o'clock in the morning for a massive pro-Palestine, pro-ceasefire protest. And I think we just got to be serious about this and require more of those that are elected and not allow people to otherize innocent folk when we're talking about them. If we are to never forget 9/11, Palestine has just suffered in less than a month 3 9/11s.
Yeah.
3.
Devastating. We'll see. Look, maybe the international reaction to this expansion in the south will be harsh and maybe they'll change their strategy. Right now, like me as I'm not, a military expert or anything like that. And it's been a long time since I was in grad school studying stuff like this, but it feels like hurting. It feels like hurting people to the south and then eventually to Egypt. And hey, maybe we've solved a bit of a problem in that way. That's what it feels like to me. But I would love to be proven wrong.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.